Hey everyone, it's Noah Barnett, the VP of Marketing here at Feathr. And today in the studio, I have a special guest, Nhu. Nhu is a content strategist and currently the curator of Feathr's Good Marketing Brief newsletter. Nhu, welcome to the studio for the first time, and you're going to be here every week. It's going to be exciting.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Noah. It is exciting to partner with you for I think, first time. We've
Yeah.
always kind of engaged throughout the past few years, but this is the first time we're actually head-to-head working together, so I'm super excited.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, because you're only listening to the Good Marketing Unplugged or seeing us on social, is that the Good Marketing Brief is a weekly newsletter we've put together where we're curating some of the best good marketing insights, articles, podcasts, videos, etc., and some inspiration every single week. And so Nhu is going to be the chief curator officer on the Good Marketing Brief for the next little time. And as part of that, we actually wanted to bring you all a video complement and audio complement to that. So if you're just listening to this, you can find the video version on YouTube or LinkedIn. If you're watching this, you can link to the podcast version of it anytime down in the comments. And so without further ado, let's just get into it, Nhu.
Yeah.
What was this week's focus? What was the Good Marketing Brief's focus this week?
Yeah, so, timely. It's October now. We're in the thick of, heading into the year-end season. So I thought it was fitting to compile just a bunch of resources on Giving Tuesday, some planning and strategy resources that can help nonprofits basically plan smarter for the end of the year. And with Giving Tuesday only, I guess, like 8 weeks away now, less than 8 weeks away. It's really game time for nonprofits. And so pulling that inspiration from other nonprofits, from other thought leaders in the space, I thought was really important.
Absolutely. And for those that maybe are like topically aware of Giving Tuesday, or yes, they've run a Giving Tuesday campaign, what is Giving Tuesday and why does it matter still?
Yeah, absolutely. Giving Tuesday it actually launched in 2012. So it's about 11 years old now. It's tokened the Global Day of Generosity, just like it's the nonprofit version of Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And so with Giving Tuesday, I think it's important because I think it's an opportunity to engage your audience and your donors to really give back to their communities through giving to your mission. And so, there's a lot of information out there about Giving Tuesday, how to fundraise, best practices. There's toolkits. Even Giving Tuesday has like an entire toolkit of templates, social media posts, messaging that you can pull off of their website. And why it's important to nonprofits is that nonprofits are really reaping the opportunity to engage their donors, their everyday donors. But it is a question of whether you should take part in this day. It depends on what your funding source is. Are you mainly grants? Probably not a good idea. But if you're fueled by individual giving, then it's definitely something that you need to at least think about adding to your strategy, and so that you can reach the donors, especially young donors who are wanting to give back to the community, want to take part of this social movement. So yeah, I think that, I don't know what your thoughts are, Noah. You've also been in this for such a long time.
Yeah, I love the initial intent of Giving Tuesday, which was basically to create a day to uplift and showcase generosity. And I think generosity looks different in a lot of different ways, right? And I think now that we look at Giving Tuesday, we've kind of, it gets a lot of showcase of like, look how much money we've raised, look at how much money opportunity there is. But I think at the true heart of Giving Tuesday, it's just an opportunity to like remind ourselves as a sector that, as the founder of Save the Children says, like people aren't ungenerous, but they're just unimaginative and very busy. And Giving Tuesday being a set aside day enables us to activate our communities to be a part of something and almost be reminded before the end of year season of what's possible when we come together collectively. And so whether that's volunteer days, whether that's donations and giving, which we should celebrate, like that's a measurement of impact and the change we can make in the community. But for your nonprofit, I know, as many have done in the past, it might just be a day where you say thank you. Like you embody generosity to your supporters in your community and kind of connect them together as part of it. So that's my only thing with Giving Tuesday is even though we celebrate the big numbers, billions raised, donations
Yeah.
given, it's really about this idea of participation and generosity as a collective. And I think that is very important for our sector,
Yeah.
especially given that, as you mentioned, giving has gone up, but participation has actually decreased. And so a day like Giving Tuesday is an opportunity for us to recapture participation from more people
Yeah.
that maybe aren't giving. You mentioned everyday givers, but what about the occasional givers that maybe are disengaged? Giving Tuesday is a great opportunity to re-engage them in the campaign.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that this is a critical year for nonprofits because giving and there are fewer, looked at the Fundraising Effective Project, there are fewer donors. Giving has declined the last year. And so, like you said, being able to engage your community of donors to reactivate their support, especially if, they haven't really engaged with you throughout the entire year is super important.
Absolutely. And I know you curated a bunch of resources, but one of the resources that stood out to me, which I'm super excited about, and unfortunately I'll be on vacation, so I won't be able to participate in this, is that Feathr is partnering with Community Boost and Classy to curate a conversation between Aaron Ford and Chandler McFarlane, who are on our team here at Feathr, and Michelle Boggs, who's a nonprofit advisor at Classy, and Janae Perry, who's the director of new partnerships at Community Boost, to really have like a genuine, honest conversation on October 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern time about what's working on Giving Tuesday. So like the strategies that are working really well. But I think most importantly, like when have Giving Tuesday campaigns gone amok and wrong? And what can we actually learn from that?
Yeah.
And then lastly, they're going to be discussing 2023 specifically, right? Like we can talk Giving Tuesday broadly, but they're going to zoom into this year when, we had a pending government shutdown that didn't go away. We have strikes in many industries. We have this fear of inflation and this like complication of like, how is the removal of student loan forgiveness going away and childcare acts changing? Like there's just a lot of movement in the economy right now that are creating uneasiness. And so they're going to address like, how as an organization should you be thinking about not only Giving Tuesday, but Giving Tuesday in 2023? So it's going to be a great conversation. You highlight it in the Good Marketing Brief. And if you're interested in registering for that, you can either click the link in the show notes or in the comments. We'll include a link for that.
Yeah. I'm super excited about that conversation because I think it's of value to have a little bit transparency that like sometimes campaigns don't go the way they're supposed to go or the way you think they're going to go. So just pulling that information from some thought leaders on lesson learned, I think is going to be good for participating nonprofits to kind of learn from as they're kind of building their strategies out for end of year.
Absolutely. Speaking of conversations, though, in the Good Marketing Brief, you included links to a few interviews with some experts in the industry as they were talking about Giving Tuesday. And then specifically in the studio, we had Jennifer Newberry. She was talking about integrated campaigns. What were some of the guidance that Woodrow shared about in his interview with Dana Snyder about Giving Tuesday?
Yeah, no, I love that conversation. I thought it was very thought-provoking and eye-opening. There's an opportunity, obviously, to engage one-time donors at the end of the year on Giving Tuesday, and I think that's where nonprofits see a lot of their revenue come from, one-time donors. But there's also an opportunity to, instead of engaging these people once a year during the end of year, why not open that door and try to find ways to retain their support year over year? Deepen that engagement, build that relationship so that they're not only giving, maybe they're spreading brand awareness, telling their friends, telling their family, telling their networks more about why your mission and your cause is important to them. Maybe they'll take it beyond that and volunteer for an upcoming event, or even start their own fundraiser for end of year and raise money on that. And then the last piece is recurring giving. Like if you have a recurring giving program, how are you kind of showcasing that during year end? Is it kind of getting lost in all of the messaging that you're sending? And I think re-highlighting that and bringing that into the fold, I think is really important. And it's something that Woodrow really talked about, Woodrow and Dana. And another thing that kind of made me smile, and I'm glad he brought it up, is that there's always been this focus of major donors, right? I get it. They give really large gifts, but the time it takes to kind of steward a major donor from being just a prospect, whining and dining them, building out that relationship and getting that gift, it could be years. And I think in the midst of that, because the prioritization is so intense for major donors, the smaller donors, the everyday donors, the occasional donors kind of get lost in the mix. So I think re-emphasizing that focus, and it doesn't have to be time on your team's part taken away from the major donors. It's really just finding the tech tools to partner with, right? So that you can automate some of the communications at scale. So you're continuing to build that relationship. You're continuing to show gratitude. You're telling them about the things that your organization is doing. You are telling them all the great things that they are enabling you to do with their ongoing support. And you can, automate that so it's like a two-way conversation. So you're giving them opportunities to give their feedback on some of the initiatives you're doing, so that you're making sure the campaigns that you're pushing out actually resonate.
Yeah. And for those that don't know Woodrow Rosenbaum is the chief data officer at Giving Tuesday. And so his insights are actually fueled through the collection effort of Giving Tuesday and how they really look across the sector. So definitely look up Woodrow Rosenbaum in the Good Marketing Brief this week. The other conversation we mentioned was Jennifer Newberry, and she is the VP of Digital Fundraising at PBS. She's the Digital Fundraising Director at PBS. And the thing that I thought was interesting in this conversation, and if you're listening to this on the pod, you can actually go listen to Jennifer and I's conversation right now, is that she talked about the importance of integrated campaigns. And I think this is really important on Giving Tuesday, because we on occasion look at Giving Tuesday as just a digital campaign or a social campaign. But there's really an opportunity to do integration across three levers that Jennifer talked about. One being organizational integration. Like, how as an organization are you all talking about Giving Tuesday? Is it just another reason to ask donors to give? Or does it go beyond that? Can you get to the core of, this is about celebrating generosity, and how do we make this an organizational opportunity for us to engage, both maybe by thanking our staff and thanking each other for working so hard, but also thanking our donors and then giving them an opportunity to connect and be a part of the impact we're having. That was the first integration step, which was organizational. The second one Jennifer talked about was community integration, which is, how do we think less about, I want to convince my audience to give a gift, and more about, how can I invite my community in to be a part of our initiative. It's about what John and Becky at We Are for Good talked about in the podcast. You're trying to build that like movement and connectivity. And so how do you think about Giving Tuesday from that perspective? The third was campaign integration. And I think this is the one we talk very frequently about. We still haven't got it right, though. And I fail even as a marketer doing this, which is, how do we not think about this in a siloed way? It's not like, oh, we're going to send an email and we're going to see how that does. We're going to do some social posts. We're going to see how that does. We're going to do, maybe a direct mail piece 2 weeks ahead of time that's going to remind people about Giving Tuesday or the opportunity to give. Whatever channels you're using, how do you ensure that there's an integrated message across that, especially in complicated environments? And Jennifer knows this very well. She works at PBS. There's huge teams, but even on small teams, a lot of this is siloed out. And so her push was, how do we ensure that we're talking across channels or silos that might be present in our organizations that the donor doesn't care about? The donor is experiencing the campaign in unison. It's an orchestration or a concert. How do you conduct that? And that's super important, especially during Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we're almost at time and kind of wrapping up, but there was some incredible things that you linked to as well, as people are preparing for Giving Tuesday, but also end of year. And so in the brief, you shared an end of year toolkit. What is that, and why would someone want to engage with that?
Yeah, I love this toolkit. It has such a robust resource selection of what you're trying to look for in terms of digital marketing inspiration, right? There are blog posts, there's podcasts, there's videos of sharing marketing knowledge to help nonprofits really engage their donors during Giving Tuesday and year end, from Giving Tuesday through year end. I think when you think about Giving Tuesday and like end of year, December 31st, it's often separated out. And so we want to think about Giving Tuesday as like the kickoff to year end, right? That's when you start your campaign, and how do you take that day and keep donors engaged through the entire year until the end of the year. And I think this toolkit does an amazing job of providing the resources to kind of get nonprofits there. And so there's a lot of swipe files that you can download. So you can kind of, if there's a campaign that resonates with you, you like what they're doing, or, maybe it's like a similar like-minded nonprofit, pull it, put it into a lookbook as like, what are those called? Oh my gosh, I'm a millennial. I should know. Those like mood boards,
Scrapbooks.
right?
Oh, mood boards.
Those
Oh
mood
yeah,
boards.
mood boards.
I was a big mood board girl when I was growing up. So creating something like that for year end, I think, is something that you could really pull from the toolkit.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the swipe file. And if those listening have never heard of a swipe file, it's basically just like a folder of inspiration, like a mood board, or like what we used to use like Pinterest and stuff for, I guess. Mm-hmm. Maybe still people use Pinterest. I have no idea.
I think they're revamping their strategy.
Oh, interesting.
To get maybe more people re-engaged, yeah.
Future topic for a good marketing brief. How do you pivot your strategies to drive engagement? Yeah. Interesting. I like it. But this toolkit really has a swipe file, which is example ads that we're running for other organizations that you can be inspired by. Like, that's really cool. And it's all in a centralized place. And then I think the thing that stood out to me the most was we had two of our campaign strategists here at Feathr actually talk about what they've learned from helping over probably 100 organizations run Giving Tuesday and end of year campaigns. So if you're curious about that, it's feathr.co/year-n-toolkit. If you're listening to this on the pod, it'll be in the show notes. LinkedIn, YouTube, it's in the comments. It's an incredible toolkit. I won't tell you anymore because you should go download it right now. That's really our show. And I know that this is going to be a weekly thing that we're going to be dropping. This is a first iteration. So if you are interested in the Good Marketing Brief as a complement to the Good Marketing Unplugged podcast or this video, you can go to feathr.co/brief, feathr.co/brief, and you can sign up, and it's delivered to your inbox every Wednesday morning. And Nhu, we're going to do it all again next week.
Next week. I can't wait.
Are you going to give any previews on maybe what we should expect from the brief? Not next week, but maybe in future weeks. Like where are we headed?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to recognize the time of year. So we're going to get a lot of year-end tidbits. We're really going to hone in some key marketing strategies, and each newsletter will have its own theme on a certain marketing strategy. And we're going to really dive into it. Omnichannel is going to be a big overarching theme. So I think that, like you said, talking about the integratedness, we're going to really highlight that and how nonprofits can really pull that off. I know it's easier said than done, but with the right thinking, the right attitude, and the right tools, we can definitely get there.
Absolutely. And in previous briefs, we've mentioned Taylor Swift and pumpkin spice lattes, which are two of my favorite things. So this isn't just for marketing inspiration. No, I'm glad. Nhu, you're a Swiftie.
Yes, I am a newfound Swiftie, I have to say, because I wasn't a huge fan, but then we had my son, and Noah, I can't tell you how much the 7-month-old loves Cornelia Street. We play it like 4 times a day. So newfound Swiftie. That's amazing.
Well, I think there are a lot of newfound Swifties after the Eras tour and all the
and after like the NFL, really Travis Kelce.
I know. Yeah, okay. We're not here to talk about Swift. We are here to give you insights and best practices on how to do good marketing, and that's what you can expect here on Good Marketing Unplugged, on our LinkedIn and YouTube channels, but also in the brief curated by Nhu. Nhu, it's great to partner with you, and I look forward to next Friday when we're in the studio again together.
I can't wait, Noah. Thank you so much.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.